Hey everybody! So about 25 years ago, gosh, maybe not quite that long, but it's a good piece. I can tell you that. I met somebody who I really like that did something quite remarkable. He started a website for the soap fans that really changed the face of everything on daytime for us, and he just jumped right in, and he was red carpeting, and he was reporting on everything, and he had such great content for people who love soap operas, and we became friends. And so I'd like to welcome Dan Kroll to the room. Hey Dan, how are you?
I am wonderful, Kat. Thank you so much for having me. This is I will tell you, this is the first video conference I've done through all of this stay-at-home orders. So
Really?
thank you for rescuing me from my solitude here at the Soapcentral offices.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I haven't been anywhere, and I just got this new platform. We're not on Zoom; we're on something new because I'm a little freaked out about the security issues on Zoom just for now. Although I know they're working it out. So this is the first time I've actually done anything like this as well. So we have two virgins of the of the
Score.
of the
Sounds
score
good.
exactly. So I wanted to have you on the show because, well, first of all, it's just really great to see your adorable face.
Thank you.
And if it's okay if I say that,
It is perfectly fine.
it's not like hashtag me too or anything, right?
I'm completely, you can call me adorable. I'm fine with that.
Okay,
We'll record this and share it with many people.
exactly. Again, it's good that we're not in the same room because pinching now that might, be altogether another something else, right? Okay, so you are covering the Emmys, and it's virtual this year. The Daytime Emmys are going to be Friday night, and so you're going to be covering. You're usually on the red carpet, but there's no red carpet, no pink carpet, no white carpet. It's a virtual this year, and CBS is airing it, which I'm really happy about. Isn't that great?
Oh, absolutely. Here's the thing that I found is that I think soap fans are so used to wanting what they want, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
that for so long when the Emmys weren't on television, on network television, everyone was disappointed. Now they're back, and I'm hoping that the response isn't going to be, well, they had to put them on because of the pandemic. Even if even if that's true, the thing to do is doesn't matter. Tune in, watch them, give them the ratings so that they'll see that people want to see this, and then they'll show them on TV next year when we're not in the middle
Of a
of a
pandemic.
pandemic. Yes.
I know. I'm very excited, and I have to say, I applaud CBS for doing this because it's all virtual, which I have to tune. I'm not going to have a show Friday night. We're going to switch our show because I don't want to compete with the Emmys. And I have my talk show on Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights. But I'm so happy that CBS did this. I think it's such a whatever reason they decided to do it, but how technically do you think that they're going to be able to handle this? I mean, how are they going? Are they going to show clips? How's this going to work? They will just have the nominees maybe on a Zoom type of thing like we're doing right now?
In my head, and this is to be clear about this, we're recording this before the actual telecast, obviously. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do and how it's going to play out. However, in my little noggin here, I'm guessing that they're probably going to have a great deal of the show pre-recorded, or perhaps they'll do a live to tape. They'll do it just before, because CBS wants us to go off without a hitch. They want this to be a production. They want this to be top notch. So does sort of the Emmy folks. But as you know, from doing this and from us trying to figure out how to work this new technology,
Yeah.
sometimes things just don't work out the way that they're supposed to. So I think that they kind of have to maybe start earlier and work on things and get it to going, rather than, what happens if the internet were to go down Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what they would do. So I think that they're probably going to have a great deal of it just before. They're not telling people who won today. They may do it, over the course of a couple hours before the telecast. To me, that would make the most sense, just to make sure that there are no surprises.
Oh, we had to
on
do that
telecast.
today. I mean, yeah, of course. This is a complicated thing they're taking on, and that's why I'm so happy it's happening. And also because, oh, yes, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'll have Ryan edit this out. Here's me. What? I'm looking at a
Like,
cue
what?
card. Okay. One thing I really am curious about is how they're going to show the nominees. I guess they'll have them all on a Zoom platform and in squares, so you'll get to see everybody's face.
Well, forget about that. What I want to know is, are folks going to dress up in their Emmy attire, or are they going to be at home in their pajamas?
I would get dressed up because
So would
most
I.
people haven't get dressed up or gotten made up really, in a long time if they've been at home like I have been. And I can tell you this, I don't have makeup on unless I'm going on camera. So it's kind of kept me from, going completely under. I would imagine people are going to at least dress from the waist up. They'll probably just be wearing their underwear underneath, but that won't matter.
Well, the thing that you can argue, though, that would be funny is if they don't dress up, perhaps they're going to be the one that wins. So maybe they do want to get into their pajamas because that's a way to guarantee that they're going to be the one that wins.
That is so funny, and it's so true. When it's like when I go out and I look my absolute worst, that's the day someone's going to recognize me and want to take a picture with me, and it'll be all over Facebook, and I look like I haven't bathed in a month. So, but yeah, so if they don't get dressed up, they're hedging their lucky bets that they'll win the award. I wanted to bring up something that I'm so proud of. Michael Knight is kind of breaking kind of history right now with this year's Emmys, isn't he?
Yeah, it's for folks out there, they may not have heard. It's a little newcomer, this person named Michael Knight, as a guest performer. Fingers crossed, this could be the kickstart of a big career for him.
Yes.
No, it's interesting with the addition of this outstanding guest performer. He, to the best of my knowledge, is the only person in Daytime Emmys history to be nominated in. It wasn't called Younger Actor at the time, but Younger Actor,
Yep.
Supporting, Lead, and now in Guest Performer.
Guest performer. Yeah, no, it is amazing, and I'm so happy for him. We're talking about Michael E. Knight, who played Tad on All My Children, and he was also on Young and the Restless for a little bit, and now he's on General Hospital as a guest, and he's been on there for several months as a guest. So I think it's and what else did he do another show? I think the Young and Restless but All My Children he was on for decades, and he's known best, of course, for Tad Martin, who is one of the best characters on Daytime, and he's won several Emmys. So I would love to see him win tonight, naturally, because I think he's just a great guy and a fantastic actor, and I would love to see him make Emmy history tonight.
This category is such it's a crazy category in the fact that there are 3 former All My Children people who are nominated in the category. In addition to Michael, there's Eva LaRue, who is probably best known as Maria on All My Children, and Chriselle Staus, who is also known as Amanda Dillon on All My Children. She's nominated for Days of Our Lives. Eva's nominated for The Young and the Restless. And then you go into the other weird bits and pieces. I'm pretty sure we have a photo of this, but Chriselle and I co-hosted the Soapcentral red carpet a couple of years for the Daytime Emmys and got into all sorts of trouble. There was a point, someone pulled up a quote or a tweet that I made like a decade ago where Chriselle had said something to the effect of, if I'm ever nominated for a Daytime Emmy, that'll never happen, blah, blah, blah. And my response was, not only will you, but this is what's going to happen. And sure enough, all these years later, the psychic nature that I am, she's nominated for the first time for a Daytime Emmy. So I'm very happy for her, someone who I've, worked with.
Yeah.
But, Eva LaRue, I think many moons ago when she was nominated for All My Children, one of easily the most memorable performances that I can remember. Her character was forced to give up a child that they thought they'd adopted. She's in the airport preparing to flee the country, and Eva LaRue gives this stunning performance where folks who watched All My Children, she's basically goes, my baby, my baby, my baby, and is screaming this at the top of her lungs. And it just broke my heart. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. And I felt that she should have won back then. So I'm glad to see her back there. I mean, to be fair, I'm glad to see Michael back on television. I mean, that whole, it's going to be 10 years since All My Children,
And
went off the air.
it is so hard
crazy
to believe. I was trying to remember how many years it's been since One Life to Live went off as well. And I think, which one went off first? I don't even remember.
All My Children went off in September, and then One Life to Live went off in January-ish or so. And then, of course, they all came back. I don't know if we acknowledge that they came back or if we're pretending that didn't happen. They came back for a very brief period of time online.
Yeah.
An interesting bit there. But I mean, I like to see the folks. These are people who, we watched for so long.
Mhm.
And even if they're not the same character, I mean, you look at someone like a Peter Bergman, who some folks know from All My Children, but he's been on The Young and the Restless for a long, long time.
Oh,
He
yeah,
just celebrated a milestone anniversary.
he's Jack Abbott, period. I mean, I know he was Cliff Warner, but now he's been Jack Abbott for so long on the show, and that I can't think of him in any other way. But now, in that category we're talking about the guest, is there a female and a male, or are the female and males they're competing against each other?
They're all in the same category. Now, I'd thought that a couple of years ago when they introduced this, that they were going to do a male and a female. But apparently, somehow I got this into my head and they didn't actually do that. It's just been one guest performer. And there have been some like top-notch, big names that have gone on to win in this category. Fred Willard, who recently passed away, he was a winner for his role on The Bold and the Beautiful. Now we have, again, there are other folks in the category, but three very easily recognizable faces who you kind of think of, like, let's be honest, who thinks of Michael E. Knight as a guest performer? You think of Michael E. Knight as a star performer. So, it's interesting to see some of these big names, these big daytime icons in guest performer, which I'm glad that they're able to get in there. But it's such a strange category that this didn't exist for so long, and now it's here, and all of these great people are getting nominated.
Well, I am glad too. I know Michael, we used to send his Emmys to his grandmother, to his parents. I mean, he's a very humble human being, and obviously, I'm really good friends with everybody pretty much that's nominated in that category, and I'm really sad it's all lumped in one category, because I think it should be male and female, but that's just me. I think it's strange not to have them. So I'm going to wish all of them luck, and I'll be watching that. So
just quickly though, before that, I'd like to do a little notice. I'm going to zoom in here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's watching, but Michael, if you're watching, you're more than welcome to store your Emmy here at Kroll Manor. I would be more than happy to wash it. I'll dust it. I'll Swiffer it. I'll give it a good home. Back to the show.
That's so funny. I want to talk about Kroll Manor in a second, and just wrap up this Emmy thing real quick. So who's nominated this year for Best Actor?
Before we go into that, I want to ask you, as someone who has been on the other side and knows this. This is the first year that the reels in their entirety are not being released in some way, shape, or form, either to the public at large or to the media. So it's been really difficult to understand sort of what's going on, because we've only seen about a 45-second clip of what was submitted. So it makes it hard to sort of make predictions. It makes it hard to know what somebody's completely put into their reel, because usually every now and again someone will win, and there may be folks at home are saying, how did that person win? I couldn't see it. But when you look at their reel, either it tells a story, or you forget that there was something in there that was really kind of amazing. I'm curious. The reason for this is that they're saying that no other award show puts the nominee reels out there or makes them available. I mean, I asterisk that with the Academy Awards because all you have to do is watch a film to see what someone's nominated for. It's not like it's a surprise. You don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Do you, as someone who really wants to see the reels, do you think it's just me that it's really not necessary to see these reels, or do you agree that maybe there is some sort of substantive value to be able to see the reels in their entirety?
Well, I'm sure the judges got to see the reel in their
Of
entirety.
course,
So
yes.
the people that were voting, of course, got to see those. And when we watched the Emmys in the past, we would always see, a clip. We didn't see the whole reel, correct? So,
Correct. And sometimes I will say that the clips that they've shown on the show
mhm.
sometimes aren't even the ones that were in someone's reel, which, they want to get something that's great for television, to be
Yeah.
honest and to be fair. They want to have the slap, they want to have the screaming, the whatever it is. And I know that they stopped doing it because a couple of years there was, we'll say, an incident
Hmm.
where someone got an Emmy and then they gave it to somebody else, and then there was a mistake there, and then they took it back from
Where
another
where
person.
was I for that?
It
What?
was unfortunate. It was and this is the part of the reason that they're saying they're not making the reels available is,
Yeah.
according to the story and how it goes,
Hmm.
is someone went and analyzed every single frame of every single reel in categories where they had a vested interest. And they found that someone who had won should not have been eligible in, I think it was a guest performer category, because that person had appeared in a previous episode in another season. So that in theory nullified their appearance as a guest performer because they had appeared previously.
Ouch.
So that person ended up winning. And then when this was found out, they said, okay, what we're going to do is give it to the second person who would have, won had that person not been there.
Yeah.
So they told the person that she had won. Then that same person who did the poking around found that the reel technically contained about 10 seconds or so of a second episode when it should only have been a single episode. And they said, hey, this person shouldn't have won either because they submitted 2 episodes instead of 1. It doesn't matter that it was only 20 seconds or however long it was. So
Yeah.
then they took the Emmy back from that person either, and then they didn't give it to anybody.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I mean, that's soapy. That sounds like
No.
something like a Buchanan would do. That's crazy.
You know what,
Um,
Dan? I always used to say when we were on the set at One Life to Live, in particular, because that cast was so fun and crazy and talented, and just hilarious. And I always said the camera is pointed in the wrong direction, because if we had been able to tape everything that went on behind the scenes or while we're waiting to shoot scenes, it would have been an absolutely amazing show. So, I don't know how I feel about seeing. I think I don't know. I can understand why they don't want to do that, but it is hard to make predictions unless you watch every show and you know people's
and
work.
for me too, I think, and this is people at home like, oh, really? I like the historical archive nature of it. I would like to be able to have a document somewhere, and it's not just as someone who runs a soap website. I mean, we have all of the ones since we've been online, and now all of a sudden we don't. It would just be nice to know when you don't want to think that someone won for something that maybe they didn't submit. You don't want to assume that someone didn't win and go, how could they not win when they did this amazing scene? It just would be nice to be able to have a document of what was submitted. All of that to be said, you had asked who the nominees were, which I've sort of have danced around entirely. Uh,
Because
well, because again, with the nominees, I have the list, I have the names, but I can't even really offer who I think might win, except to say that the nominees, at least an outstanding lead actor, which is what you had asked about,
yep.
are known to everyone in daytime. I mean, they're iconic names. You have Steve Burton, who's Jason on General Hospital. You have Torsten Kay, who is Ridge Forrester on The Bold and Beautiful. You also may know him from Port Charles. You may know him from One Life to Live. You may
Oh,
know
I
him
love
from
him.
All My Children. Amazingly, he's never won an Emmy, which it's one of those folks you think, how has he not won an Emmy? Then you also have John Lindstrom, who played both Kevin and Ryan on General Hospital. You have Teo Penless from Days of Our Lives, who also plays a double role on Days of Our Lives. He didn't in the last go round, but he's known for it.
Mhm.
And then you have Jason Thompson, who is Billy on The Young and the Restless. Fans may also know him from General Hospital. And he's another one that I've picked to have been the winner in the category a bunch of times. And for whatever reason, I was not correct. So those are all names that people know. Is there is there a front runner? I have no idea. I mean, I know that the Emmy voters in the past have liked people who play two different roles. Erica Slezak, David Canary, iconic names in daytime, have played dual roles masterfully.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't know, but those are the nominees. And to be honest, I think I would be thrilled with anyone. To be clear, because people are going, oh, I'm thrilled when anybody wins an Emmy. I have never won an Emmy. I've never been nominated for an Emmy, mostly because it's not my expertise. I'm not an actor. So there's a reason I haven't been nominated.
So the
However,
chances are slim. That's all.
chances are, in case someone decides to give it to me from the stage. But I mean, I would be happy for anyone who wins, as I always am. Off the top of my head, is there anything in particular that stands out as this is going to be in the reel? This is going to be why they win? Not really. It's the other thing too is this has been such a strange year. This 6 months that has been 60 months of 2020
Yeah.
that's been so strange. It's hard to really think back to 2019, January to December, of all the episodes that could have aired or what could be in there. So we could be talking about a scene that aired January 2nd, assuming that's a weekday, of 2019, which is now well over a year ago. It's potentially 18 months ago. I don't even remember what I had for lunch last week, let alone what happened on Days of Our Lives in January 2019.
But, for people who watch soap operas, it's really, about a body of work. And I'm hoping that the people that judge aren't just judging on that one reel because, and that unfortunately some may, but it's always for me about the body of work and people holding your attention for the entire year and just that kind of thing. If I was judging, which I do, I do belong to the Academy, so I do the SAG Awards and I judge for the Academy Awards, and I'm very familiar with everybody's body of work, and I must say I think that plays something when I'm watching a scene of somebody that is, nominated. So anyway, we just wish everybody the best. I want to ask you, how did you feel about not being able to do a red carpet this year?
I'm I'm kind of devastated in the sense that this is something that I've done every year for 22. This would have been the 22nd year.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed strange. I mean, to put it this way, where the Emmys were scheduled to take place, they should be overdone, and I should be back where I'm sitting right now. Like I would be back home. It seems strange not to be getting gussied up for my one day of wearing a suit per year. It's strange. I mean, you can see back here, I've got some of my press passes from
Mm-hmm.
past Emmys. It's nice to be able to see the performers in person.
Yeah.
We can do this and chat and certainly talk on the phone or email or tweet or direct message or whatever it is, but it's nice to be able to see people in person. So that's gone, understandably.
Yeah.
The trip to Los Angeles, that was my excuse to take a vacation, such as it was. So that's missing. I don't know. I've always liked the red carpet. In the beginning, as I'm sure now, when I say in the beginning, I'm sure there's some photo of me from when I looked like I was 12 that's probably about to flash on the screen. There it is. See, it's there. I know. That was me at like my second daytime Emmys. Again, back when I was 12.
You don't really look that different, just FYI.
Well, thank you. But, worrying about the first year, I remember going and thinking, this is who I need to see. This is what I need to ask. This is what we need to do. Like it was, I didn't know. And as it's sort of gone on, not to say that I've become slightly more lax in what I'm doing on the red carpet. I've learned that anything can happen. Usually, everything does happen. So you can't prepare because you don't know who's going to come in what order. You don't know who's going to really want to be chatty, who might be nervous, who isn't nominated but just wants to sit and chat and show love. And so it's kind of fun because it's to me it's like improv. Certainly, when you're on stage with the hypnosis show that you do, you never really quite know what's going to happen. You have to be prepared for whatever
Yeah,
may or may not
there's
happen.
no script, and that's true. And it's
And
the
it's
same.
fun.
Yeah, it just depends on people's mood that night, or for the red carpet. It just depends on if they, like you said, they feel chatty or gregarious or not in the mood or anxious or whatever it is. I'm going to miss the red carpet for sure. Those are always the most fun parts to watch
Some of the
before.
fun things that happen are really the things that aren't expected. I remember one of the years that they had the Emmys in Las Vegas, I had been doing an interview with Stephen Nichols, who is Patch on Days of Our Lives. And we were sitting and we were having this really, really good conversation. And all of a sudden, sauntering up, puts his arm, is Pat Sajak. Just wanders up and just crashes into this interview. And, the response that could have been is, hey, buddy, we're taping here. Go back and, spin the wheels, spin a letter, whatever. But I decided, let's see what happens. And they just went on this whole conversation because Pat Sajak had apparently back in the 80s did a guest appearance on Days of Our Lives. So they were catching up and they're chatting and doing this stuff that, you otherwise would not have seen anywhere. And it made for a really great Emmy moment. And then after it was done, Pat sort of went back into the crowd and said, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt your interview. And it was a great moment. It was one of those things that I'm really glad I was able to sort of roll with it. Otherwise, I would have been really disappointed to have missed out on that big moment.
Oh yeah, I remember you asked me the first year. I think you were doing that in Vegas. That's what it was. It was the first year, and they had the Emmys in Vegas. And you asked me if I wanted to co-host that with you. Do you remember?
I do.
Yeah.
And as is usually every time I end up in Las Vegas, you're
On the road. On
somewhere
tour.
else.
Yeah, well, I'm not this year. I'm not going out at all this year because all of the contracts for all performers were canceled due to the COVID-19. But yeah, I'm usually absolutely gone 4 months out of the year, and it happened to be during that time. But that would have been fun, and I'm super happy that we got to catch up on this. I want to. Can I? I just want to show a picture of your bun bin, your bunny rabbit, because everybody that watches our show or goes to my Facebook page love animals. Dan the man with a bunny rabbit. How did this happen?
As with everything, it's a funny story. Back in 2015, I was supposed to be going away. I was supposed to be going to Virginia for a weekend. However, whatever happened, there's also a difference in opinion on exactly what went down. However, in my opinion, I wrote down in my calendar when I was supposed to be away. It turns out that somehow I had the wrong weekend and it was supposed to be the following weekend. Now, being a business person, I told everyone that I was, going to be going out and had people change their schedules to get work submitted early. And when I found out that it wasn't the right week, I couldn't ask folks to alter and shift their life 2 weeks in a row. So I decided, all right, I'm going to stay home when I should have been away. At home, I go out to check the mail, pop out of my garage. This is in Philadelphia.
Hop?
And hop out to check the mail. And as I go out, picture like the worst B horror film you've ever seen, where people are running around going, ah! You know, the whole thing running back and forth. There's people going absolutely berserk. And nonplussed, I sort of keep going to the mailbox and get my mail, and I'm like, and then I'm wondering what's going on, and they're screaming, "It's a rabbit! It's a rabbit!" I'm like, "It's a rabbit! Like, why are we carrying on like it's Godzilla when it's a rabbit?" And I figure it's a wild rabbit hopping around, and I look down, and there's this little white bunny in the middle of Philadelphia. This little white bunny, which was not a wild, it is fully domesticated, comes hopping into my garage. I set out all of my bunny equipment. I picked him up, took him in, took him up to his home. Uh, and I'm like, I guess I have a rabbit now. Took him to the vet. He was checked out. They said he was fine. And then a couple of months after this, about 3 months after him showing up from hopping around the streets of Philadelphia, we moved to the grand and spacious Kroll Manor in suburban Pennsylvania. So he went from literally hopping along the streets of Philadelphia. You can play the Bruce Springsteen song in the background there, to now being the bunny of the manor, which is, I'm sure there's a kid's book in there somewhere.
You know what, there is, and I know exactly what you mean, because as you know, I have about 35 to 40, pets. All, found me. I find them, rescue them, adopt them if they are, in the situation that you're talking about, that you saw in the shelter. And, they just find us, and my animals complete me, and that is the truth. I mean, they just do. But we always joke that they go from rags to riches because they're on the street or they're starving somewhere, and then they come here, and we have air conditioning for them, and we feed them really well, and we make sure that they have the right temperature, the right food, and the right care. And so, it's a beautiful thing. And you were meant to have Bun Bin, and
And it's funny because there are a couple of people who, I mean, let's be real. The story is so over the top. And sure, I was in the middle of Philadelphia and this bunny showed up. A lot of people, one of my really good friends, she said to me, if you were anyone else, I would think that you just didn't want to admit that you went to a store and bought a rabbit, because you know that isn't ideal. You should adopt, not shop.
Mhm.
And that, I didn't, but she said, with some colorful words, she said, who do you have to lie to? Why do you have to lie? It's not like, hey, mom, look what followed me home from school today. I have no one to lie to. I have no reason to make up the story. There were quite literally about a dozen other people there to see this happen. But the bunny that I had before was completely all black from stem to stern, except for a brown spot on his foot. This one is white. The one that I had previously, as he was older, he was extremely mellow. Ooh, this one is full of energy. He climbs on things. He's exploring. He's nosy. He knows if there's a door or a gate open somewhere in the house, and he knows the minute it opens, so he can sneak. And then I'm, wandering around a sprawling estate here trying to find a rabbit who's hidden somewhere. He is keeping me very busy. He's
Yes.
keeping me a very honest bunny wrangler here.
I have to ask, does he sleep with you?
No, this is even, but I'm talking to you, so this is, people can do the whole comparison. He has his own room. He has his own room. He has a bunny camera. We have a little security camera set up so it watches him, and I can get some funny candid videos. There's videos of him jumping, and there's a thing that they call a binky. It's essentially they jump up in the air and they kick their legs around, and they do all sorts of little energetic little bolts of bunny business. And I've caught some really fun moments of him on there. But he has, I mean, in Bunny's language, it's probably a good country mile away. He's just down the hall a bit, but there's some gates and things and that come up. So he's able to come out of his room, hop down here and hang out with me in my office. He's got all sorts of pillows and things, which of course, as any pet owner knows, they never lay on their pillows.
No.
They never lay on their beds. They never play with their toys. They always chew the boxes.
Yes.
But yet we spend money on pillows and beds and boxes and toys and things, and we keep doing it, and they just have nothing to do with it.
Well, I have a rooster and his wife who sleep in our room in their special cage, and one sleeps inside, and the rooster sleeps on the top. So I have no room to judge you for having a bedroom for your bunny.
That's why as soon as I said, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, know your audience. So yes, I knew that, read the room. I knew that you would certainly understand. And it's nice. I will say, and from the many videos that you've posted, he has started something new that he hasn't done before. He will sit just to my right here, at the foot of my desk, and
stare at you.
it's just something he started within the last month. And
Yeah.
then I have to figure out exactly what it is that he wants. Does he want attention? Does he want a snack? Is it all of the above? It's usually all of the above.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
So
thrilled.
it's kind of fun to have him. And like I said, had I not gotten these dates mixed up somehow, some way, I would not have been where I was when he showed up.
It's all meant to be. Well, I love you to pieces. I am super happy that I got to see you. I hope I get to see you in person when this
There's
whole
lots
thing
of
is
room
over.
here.
Oh, what?
Lots of room over here for you to stay, and I may not even know that you're here.
Don't you toy with my emotions, because I've always wanted to see Kroll Manor, and we are doing a cross-country tour when things get more safe, because I didn't perform at all this year, and I don't know how long it'll be before I perform Hypnosis again, because it's a real touch, it's a contact sport, as I call it, because I mean, you can certainly do it without, but it's not going to be the same. But I'm going to take my mentalism show, and we're going to go on a cross country tour towards the end of the year when things are way more relaxed than they are now. And until then, I'll be right here, and you'll be right there. And you're welcome here anytime. So
I'm gonna hold you to that as well. I need to come and see the critters.
Yep.
I see if any of them will fit in an overhead compartment.
Oh.
They may or may not want to come here and hang out with the bunny and the
Well,
fox.
they love the fox. No, the fox is the natural enemy of the chicken and geese and everything else I've got here. But Dan Kroll, you are such a great person, and you're wonderful at what you do. And I just want to say, if you're not aware of it, soapcentral.com is a fantastic place to go and to catch up on everything. And it's a fantastic, really fan-friendly site where everything is right there at your fingertips. Have a great time at the Emmys, and I'll be probably watching them. And are you going to be doing something on your site concurrently?
There'll definitely be something going on.
Yeah.
And as I would say, tune in to either Soap Central on Twitter or Facebook, or you can look for me at Dan J. Kroll on most of the social media things to see what I'm wearing.
Yes.
I may dress up. I may try to actually sew my own garment. It'll be like a Project Runway challenge.
Well, Dan, if you got it in the shop, put it in the window. Get dressed up. I want to see it. I'll be at Soap Central on Facebook, like I hope everybody else will be. Thank you. Remember, the Daytime Emmys are Friday night on CBS. And just check your local listings for the time. And thank you, Dan Kroll. I adore you.
Thank you.
Okay.